In this example, we will take a look at the quick engrave toolpath while using some specialist tools which are spring-loaded so that we can engrave over uneven surfaces. We will also take a look at the drawbacks of not being able to specify exact cutting depths, and then ways in which we can encourage more cutting depth by applying more pressure to the tool. So let's begin by closing out and using the File Close option. So let's get started by going to opening an existing file, and we're going to open the quick engraving vectors drawing that we've got here. So I'll select it and click open, and as you can see we've got a small project here, 8 inches by 5, which is for 3 pieces of text. These are all standard pieces of text created with our text creation tool. If you want to learn more about the text creation tool, just check out our text creation tool tutorials on the subject. For this one though, we're going to be using the Toolpath panel. So let's switch over to that with the switch option in the top corner here. And we'll just check out our material setup to begin with. As you can see here, we've got a thin piece of material, only 0.1 inches thick, which is going to be a piece of brass on our machine. And we've got the XY datum set in the lower left corner to suit the machine that we are using. The Z0 will be measured from the material surface on our machine. And then we have the rapid Z gaps, which is 1/4 inch for the clearance and the plunge, and then a 1/2 inch gap above the material for the starter Z. These are set up for our machine that we have here, but these might be different on your machines, so please do ensure that whenever you follow one of our tutorials, that you are using your own setups for all of these settings, rather than copying our values here, as these will not be correct for your machine. But these are all good for me, so I'm going to click OK. And now we can move on to the quick engrave toolpath. This is the T-shaped icon you see here, and it's the quick engrave toolpath, and when you open it you'll see we have a number of options. This is similar to many of our other forms, however, it has the option here to output the toolpaths directly to a toolpath file instead of having to go directly to the Toolpath Saving option on the toolpath panel. This is designed for producing small, quick pieces of work using only this form to be as optimal as possible. But you can of course still create toolpaths as normal and save them from the toolpath panel as you normally would with other toolpaths. Like our other toolpath forms though, we have the tool selection option here at the top, where you can select a tool or edit the existing tool for a one-off change to your tool settings for this one toolpath. Then we have the equivalent of what would be the cut depth, but as this is using an engraving bit with a spring-loaded tool, it's the actual depth or pressure that you're going to be pushing the bit into the material rather than the actual depth of the cut. I'll explain more about this later on. Next, we've got the option to choose to cut an outline or a fill. What this means is the outline, it will simply trace the vectors that you have selected, allowing the bit to drag its tip along the center point of each of these lines. Whereas the fill will do the same outline, however then will draw hatch lines across the internal sections of each of these vectors. We can then choose the step over, so how densely placed the lines are. The smaller the value, the more dense the lines. And then we can choose what sort of fill we're going to have as well. So we can either choose to have it set to offset, which as you can see in this example image here, it starts drawing lines going in one step at a time until it reaches a center point. Or you can choose to have it set to a hatch, where it will draw straight lines at a given angle, filling up the internal area. And then you can also choose to make it a cross hatch, so it will do it at one angle and then 90 degrees perpendicular to that given angle. So in this case it would be vertical lines with a 90-degree horizontal line for the cross hatch. Then we can choose to designate if this is a toolpath that uses a nose cone, which again I shall get into later. And then just like our other toolpaths, you can choose to have the vector selector set to manual, or choose to have it automatically select vectors on given layers. Lastly, you can then give the toolpath a name if needed for your project to help organize yourself. And then we have the normal calculate and close options for the toolpath form. So altogether, this is your overall tool options. So now we've covered that, let's start by setting up our quick engrave toolpath with a quick example. We want to select all of the text that's in our design here. So we can do that a number of ways. First one would be to click and drag a selection box over everything in the job. And as you can see, I now have everything selected. Or if I unselect everything, then another option would be to hold Control and press the A key on the keyboard. That also selects everything in the project. So now that I've got my vectors selected, I can go to select my tool. Now within Engraving Toolpath, there's two sections of the tool database that we want to focus on for this one, the engraving and the specialist tools. We're going to use the diamond drag tool that we have here in our specialist section. Select the tool name, and as you can see here, I've got all of the tool settings in my tool database. So it's a 1/8 of an inch diameter bit with an angled tip, and then it has a line width setting and a step over. So unlike our other tools, it does not have a pass depth. And the reason for this is that diamond drag tools often come spring loaded, so they are able to be run over uneven surfaces. But this does mean that we're not able to force the tool down to a specific depth because it's going to be controlled by the amount of pressure we can apply to the tool and how much compression is in the spring at that moment in time. There is a way to encourage more depth, and we'll go over that shortly. So for now, we have the options here in the tool database to specify the diameter and the angle and the line width and the step over for our tools. So we'll go with the defaults that we have set here and click Select. A way that we can control or encourage more depth in using a spring-loaded tool is by using the pressure depth option, as you can see at the top here. This allows us to specify a depth which we're going to place into the spring-loaded tool to then encourage more compression in the spring, which will then force the tool, or at least increase the pressure on the surface that we're going to be cutting or engraving on with the tool that we have selected. So in this particular example, I'm going to enter 0.1 for the tool pressure, and this will take the tool down to 0.1 of an inch in the Z-axis, and it will increase the pressure on the tip of the tool. We'll use the strategy for outline, and then I'll just click Calculate, and as you can see, I now have a preview of the toolpath. As you can see, this is a very light engraving, and so you might not see very much detail here in the 3D preview. Let's switch the material as well, as we probably wouldn't be engraving onto wood, we'll be engraving onto something more like copper. So let's scroll down and we'll use our bronze material from our material list. As you can see, this looks more of a bronze colour. Now if I preview this, you can see we don't get much of a line, but I can also set it so that we can see the toolpath, and as you can see, it's very, very fine. Another option we have is to go to the Toolpaths menu and increase the toolpath simulation quality to maximum so that we can get as much detail from this as possible. And as you can see, it's a very, very fine engraving. Reset the view and go back to the 2D view for now. So let's double click on the Quick Engraving 1 toolpath that we have created here to reopen it, and we can adjust some of these settings to show you some of the other results that you can achieve. So in this case, we'll change it to a fill toolpath, and we'll have it just set as a basic offset. So now when I calculate, there we go, you should see that we now have got an offset toolpath. And if I zoom in on the 2D view, you can see the path that this is going to be taking. Each one of these lines here is one of the paths that the tool will be taking. Now if I zoom back out again and reopen the Quick Engrave, if I now switch it to a hatch fill and then click Calculate, you can see that those offset lines have been replaced with horizontal lines going across the work. And then likewise, if I reopen it again, change this to say 45 degrees and click Calculate, you can see 45-degree lines now. And then finally, if I then turn on cross-hatching, as you would expect, if I click Calculate, you can see we've got our cross-hatch effect. And then quickly back in one more time, we can then change the step over to be something larger. So let's say I'm going to go for an incredibly large step over just to show the effect of this. So a 0.1 step over, calculate, and you can see now the hatches are much larger than they were before. So this gives you some good flexibility over your different toolpaths. Now, one other thing to point out again is that because we're using a spring-loaded tool here, the actual depth that you're going to be seeing in your previews may not represent what you're going to see in your final parts that you're going to be cutting. It all depends on how stiff the spring you're using in your spring-loaded diamond drag tool and the density of the material that you're going to be using and how this all works together to give you your final result. If you're working with some new material, do make some test cuts before you start working on a full project with that material to establish the correct values you're going to want to get the results you're looking for your designs. Let's go back to the 2D view again. Now, some of these tools come with a nose cone. If I turn this option on, you can see it here. Now, this works in a similar fashion to a spring-loaded tool in the sense that it is able to freely move and engrave over uneven surfaces, except the nose cone has a tool at a fixed depth below where it detects the surface of the material, which means we can engrave at a fixed depth whether we are using flat or uneven material, and therefore it improves the depth consistency of your final toolpath. When using our nose cone though, we do have to specify some additional data here for it to be able to work properly. We're going to input the depth which the tool is protruding from the nose cone, which in my case on my machine will be 0.02 inches. And then we want to specify the number of passes it's going to attempt to get our depth of cut, which we'll set to 3. And then when I calculate, you can see here these are 3 overlapping lines cutting it down into the material. And if I simulate these, you can see that we're still getting our incredibly fine engraving results. So let me open up the Quick Engrave one more time, and then we can go into full detail about the tool form here. So the first thing we want to do is select the machine that we're going to be using for this engraving. Let's just zoom out our view once more. And so for the machine, I'm going to select my desktop machine. And then for my post-processor, I'm going to select my G-code engraving inch post-processor. The engraving one is important here because since I'm going to be using a diamond drag tool, I don't want the spindle to be turned on. And this post-processor is specially designed to never turn on the spindle of the machine. And now that I've created my toolpath and selected my post-processor, I can now click Save. And now by saving this toolpath, I can then give this toolpath a name. So this will just be called the Quick Engrave Toolpath. And I can click Save to create my toolpath file. And that toolpath file is now ready on my computer in the folder that I just created it in, ready for me to then copy across to my CNC machine and run it to carve out my design. In the toolpath options here, you'll see also that we have the option to add side to toolpath name. This is when we're doing a double-sided project, and it will automatically add the prefix of top or bottom onto your toolpath name to help identify which side it is to be cut on. Lastly, we've now also got the output direct to machine option. This is for compatible CNC machines to output directly from the software into the machine's controller ready to run, to save you having to manually do that step yourself. However, this only works for machines that are specially designed with this compatible feature in mind, and at this moment not many machines unfortunately support this. If this option is grayed out for your post-processor, then this means that this post-processor cannot do direct output. And so the standard method of saving your toolpath file and then manually copying that across to the machine to run when it's ready is the normal way to do this. If I just click Calculate, however, rather than Save Toolpaths, this saves as a normal toolpath, which you can then use the standard Toolpath Saving form to output as a toolpath file on your computer, along with any other toolpaths you might have created for this project. And with that, this concludes our tutorial on the Quick Engraving Toolpath Guide.